Alright everybody, welcome to the Las Vegas 2025 Formula One Grand Prix. Today I'm going to be showing you some of the pop-ups that we visited during this race weekend, as well as some of the food that we tried and what the race experience is like. Our first stop was the Mercedes pop-up at the Aria Hotel. Here they did have one really cool VR pit wall kind of experience. You sat inside, it didn't really do much, but it had really good audio and some cool visuals going on, just like when you're on the pit wall. They also had some race-used items like this George Russell helmet and race suit. Next up, we went to the New York Hotel for the Williams pop-up zone. This was definitely the biggest one. They had 2 show cars, a bunch of racing simulators, this new robo-taxi that they're using in Vegas called Zooks, where it's a driverless taxi. They weren't running them, but you could still sit in them. Seems like a cool idea. They also had a Komatsu big truck simulator. This actually seemed kind of hard because when I watched people doing it, they were having to shift and do everything manually. At the back of the fan zone is where they had the pit stop challenge. We came in at 14 seconds to change one tire, and just as a reference, usually pit stops are in about 2.2 seconds to change all 4. The Haas fan zone at the Cosmopolitan Hotel wasn't the biggest, but it was still cool to see them represented. They had one show car and a bunch of race-used tires, gloves, some pieces of a front wing, so cool to see some of those spare parts. Next up, we headed over to the Bellagio for the Ferrari pop-up boutique. In here, they have a lot of crazy expensive clothes, but also for the pop-up, they had this disassembled engine as well as some old parts from old F1 cars. They even had a wing from the Michael Schumacher era, which was really cool to see. We headed outside of the Bellagio for the Shoey pop-up bar. This was another fun experience where you get to get a race-spec shoe with a cocktail in it. This was made popular by Daniel Riccardo when he used to get on the podium, so it was fitting that right after this we went over to the Enchanté pop-up, which is Daniel Riccardo's clothing line, and we were very lucky and he showed up right before we entered, so we got to talk to him for a little bit, take a picture with him, and he was incredibly nice. I did get into Formula One from watching Drive to Survive, so getting to meet Daniel Riccardo was pretty awesome, especially since he was the first driver that I really became a fan of. That night was free practice 1 and 2, so we headed outside to see these cars going full speed down the Las Vegas Strip. This is just insane to see and hear, so here's a couple audio clips so you can get a feel for it. After that, we headed into the Carlos Sainz pop-up lounge, which was inside the Aria Hotel and Casino. This leaned heavily into Carlos Sainz's nickname, which is Smooth Operator, although we didn't hear the song played while we were there. What I did have is this old-fashioned with Cocoa Puffs in it. I thought it was going to be pretty weird at first, but I really liked it. Some quick mentions of some of the food that we tried while we were there. Breakfast one of the mornings, we went to Primrose, which was inside the Park MGM hotel where we stayed. This place was super cozy, and the food was incredible. We also went to Sugarcane at the Venetian where Jen got the fish and chips, and I got probably the best Cuban sandwich I've had outside of Florida. We had lunch at Italy at the Park MGM and got this really good mushroom lasagna, although it was pretty expensive. We also had to check out the F1 Academy Hello Kitty pop-up. This was pretty much just a little coffee shop pop-up with a couple pastries, but it was still cool to see some of the specialty items that they did have to offer specifically for the weekend. Our last night we went to Roy Choi's Best Friend. This was probably my favorite restaurant I've been to in a while. I had always wanted to try the tacos from the Kogi taco truck and was finally able to do it here. I really thought they were going to be overhyped and not as good as I thought they were going to be, but they delivered on every level. On race day, we decided to stop at the F1 Academy pop-up on the way to the track. For those who don't know what F1 Academy is, it's a starter series to help women get into Formula One. This was the final race of the year for them, so it was pretty cool to see the championship race in person. And then we headed into the track. Our seats were in the T-Mobile zone. This is a super popular zone and it's really easy to see why. There's a ton of space for all the people that are there, and they do have a full-size festival stage for all the musical performances. This year we had Cinema Funk, Sophie Tucker, and then T-Pain as the headliner. They also had some other things to do in here. They did have another pit stop challenge. They had an airbrush tattoo shop. They had a Lego building challenge little kind of area where you raced against other people to build small F1 car Legos as well. We headed to our seats to check out our viewpoint and also to see the F1 Academy race. After that, we headed down to the main stage to check out T-Pain. This section really gives you a good bang for your buck with the musical performance and the race as well. We headed back to our seats for the main event, the Formula One race. These seats are really awesome because you get the sphere in your view, and you're in a pretty fast section of the track that's not just the straight of the strip. Overall, this was an incredible experience, and if you have any kind of interest in this, I highly suggest you find a way to make it to a race in person.
Yeah, it was an odd place to do it.
The night ended with a huge fireworks show that was spread out across all the major hotels on the Strip. I really do feel so lucky that I got to go see something like this in person, and thank you guys for watching this, and be on the lookout for more stuff this year.